Great job on that quiz. You obviously got 100% and passed because here you are, so congratulations. In this lesson, we're going to talk a little bit about my story. And I think this is important, and you'll see why when we get to the end of the story. But I want to tell you the process and the journey I took to even become to the place where I was going to launch Video Creators in the first place, because a lot of that backstory really influences the success of this channel. Now, I realize that my story is not your story. We all have very different stories, and you have a story that will also influence how your channel performs as well. But let me get into my story, give you a little background. So it first started for me in 2005, actually on June 21st, 2005 to be very specific. This was pre-Facebook days, and I usually, I was single at the time, I was in my apartment, and most of the time I would just be playing video games. I had one part-time job, I had just finished graduate school, so I had a lot of time on my hands. I wasn't married or anything, so I had a lot of time. And usually I play video games, but this one night in particular, I was just kind of bored. I was like, I don't feel like playing. And I saw timschmoyer.com was available, so I registered it. I didn't put Facebook up on it, I put WordPress up on it. And this was pre-Facebook days, so I was just using it to write about things to share with my family, posting pictures. This is like kind of before social media really took off. So that's how I was using my blog back then. And it's kind of around that same time, not too much longer after that I uploaded my very first YouTube video. And I'll put a link to it with this lesson below, so you guys can check it out if you would like. It's actually pretty comical to see my very first YouTube video ever to where we're at here today. But I started making videos with my then girlfriend, now wife, and it's kind of cool actually to have a lot of those videos. Not a lot of them I had to take down because that was like before people were thinking about copyright stuff, so there's a lot of music in it that I had to take the videos down, but it was cool. It was still a lot of our fun videos when we were dating up on our family vlogging channel now. And so we started just making videos together and kind of playing on YouTube. And then an interesting thing happened a couple of years later. By the time we got to 2010, my blog that I had started just to kind of be something to keep families up to date with. Like, I actually started writing about what I was in the field I was in at the time, which is youth and family work. And it became one of the largest, most widely read blogs on the internet in that niche. And so it became my full-time job. And I launched off at that point onto that blog and the community that has developed around that website. At that time, full-time. It was my full-time income, supported me, my family, my wife, and my kids, and I lived off the opportunities that the community there on that blog presented itself, which was I wrote and published several books through different publishing companies. I was speaking on national stages at big conventions to youth and family workers all over the country. I was hosting live talk shows and like all that type of stuff. And the reason why I point this out isn't to say like, look what I've done, because I know it doesn't translate directly to YouTube, but what I learned through a lot of that, guys, is I learned a lot about how audience development works on the internet in general. So I did it once with my blog and my website, which was awesome. And then it turns out people are people no matter where they are, whether they're on a website or on YouTube. But I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So what happened is through my blogging, and I was really starting to integrate YouTube videos. Like, we were doing fun family stuff for like a while, but I was like, hey, there's really a lot of opportunities for this video thing, like to work on my website for audience growth and development and other ways to present content and things. So I started doing a lot of video stuff on my website, and that's when I reached out to Mark Robertson, the founder, the president, the owner of RealSEO.com, because I had a couple questions. Long story, really short. We started talking, and then it was a little bit later that I became the host for two of their YouTube shows, which is The Real Web, which we kind of talked about online video news and stuff. That since has stopped. And then their Creators Tip, where I give video marketers tips on YouTube stuff. And so it was through that a couple things happened. One is that I started gaining exposure in like the online video marketing space and things like that, thanks to Real Real SEO, but I also started learning, like realizing that a lot of these same audience development things that happened, that worked on a blog, also worked on YouTube. And so I took that channel, I think when I started it had about 1,800 subscribers, and today it's pushing 40,000 subscribers, so really good growth there, again, in a very small niche. It just goes to show that if I can do this in a really small niche, like any of you guys can do this in even larger niches, but even like smaller ones as well. It can definitely work. And so something happened though. As I was hanging out more on YouTube, doing more with like this whole industry, video industry space, I started really realizing the potential that online video had, like in ways that blogs like don't have, as far as reaching people and influencing people and establishing like a actual like human connection with someone, and just, you know, really sharing lives and things. Like it's a different like emotional connection, different level than what I was doing on my blog. And so an opportunity came along actually, and I stopped doing the blog full time because this opportunity really let me dive into that. And that was with a company called Epifio, and they're an awesome, like if you get to work with them, they're an awesome studio. They're a storytelling animation studio. They do awesome work, and they were developing a web series, and they hired me to be their audience development guy. And so I took the job because, one, like if you guys don't know, like it is really exhausting if your business model revolves around being a full-time speaker and consultant, which is what I was doing through my blog. And I was my wife and I are having kids, and I was gone traveling a lot, and I just wanted to be home. So I decided like, this will be a quick off switch for that whole lifestyle where I can just be at home, have a full-time job, and work on this YouTube stuff. So I did that with them for a while, and I really learned a lot through those guys at Epifio, because I learned that this medium, the online video, like again, they just reinforced and taught me a lot of things about how online video really can change lives and influence people, and I definitely learned a lot of it. And so out of that came Video Creators, and I launched it to help reach hobby creators here on YouTube do what this platform is really specifically designed to do. Maybe not intentionally by its creators, but definitely has like that ability to really reach people, as I've said many, many times, on a very personal level. So I launched Video Creators to really help you guys do that, but also start thinking that direction about online video and the amazing potential that it has. And then it was only about 6 months after that my position at Epifio ended, because the web series that we were doing, you know, it was over, it had reached its lifespan. So I launched out full time on Video Creators at that point to kind of make that happen. And then it wasn't too much longer after that when YouTube themselves reached out to me and said, hey, we got this new program, it's called YouTube Certification. It's in beta. Will you come out to our headquarters? Well, for a couple of days, we'll give you a behind the scenes look at everything is happening here. We'll train you in all of it and give you like a little badge and stuff. Are you interested? I was like, yeah, I'm interested in that. So I went through that program, became YouTube certified, and now here we are, and we're helping you guys do as much as you can to grow your audiences here on YouTube so that you can reach people who need to hear what you have to say, so that your message that can really change lives like reaches as many people as possible. And it is very rewarding for me to hear from you guys, all the stories that you share about how that's happening. I could go into so many stories, but guys, that just really energizes me. So thank you for sharing all of that with me. So why do I share all of this, my story, with you? Well, a couple of reasons. One, I want you to know that this isn't my very first YouTube channel, you know? So some of you guys are trying to grow. This is your very first channel. And I want you guys to know that sometimes like growth isn't just like, you know, off the charts right away. I get emails very often from people like, hey, I've made 3 videos and I've been doing this for like 2 weeks now and I still only have 15 subscribers. Why don't I have 1,500? You know, it takes time, because you got to learn your voice. You got to learn like be comfortable on camera. You have to know how to talk to your audience, how to attract them. You know, there's a lot of things you have to like work through at the very beginning. And I personally worked through a lot of that through multiple YouTube channels before that I was a part of, not just our family channel, the Real SEO channel, but others that I had started and kind of moved away from because they weren't doing that well, and other things, you know, that I just didn't know what I was doing back then. I had a lot of things I had to work through and I had to learn. So by the time I came to launching Video Creators, I had already worked through a lot of those mistakes. I had figured a lot of things out, but it took me several years to do, about 7 years for me to figure out all those mistakes and really figure out the system system, how YouTube works. Why do people subscribe to channel? What type of content do they want? How do you develop an audience and a community? Like, how do you deliver value in every single video that you do? Like, all that stuff took me years to figure out. Now, I had a little bit of advantage because I learned a lot of it through my blog and my website, and I brought a lot of those principles over to YouTube. But this is why I'm telling you that story, guys. It took me a stinking long time to learn that. And through courses like this and training here at Video Creators, I want to dramatically decrease the amount of time it takes you guys to learn those lessons. I want to share what I've learned, give you guys my mistakes, my failures, and things that have worked well, which is what I'm doing here in this course to really help you guys out so that you don't have to take 7 years to start reaching the people that you really want to influence and whose lives can really be changed by the stuff that you have to share. Back when I was learning all this stuff, there weren't trainings like this available to like teach people like, here's how the system works, here's how it doesn't work. Like, YouTube was just like barely a thing, you know, it's just kind of taken off. People were just kind of starting to hear about it. Like, what do you do on YouTube? You know, people's internet connections like weren't even fast enough to support, you know, there wasn't this type of stuff. And so now I want to help you guys take the fast lane to avoid a lot of the errors and mistakes that I took and other creators who were kind of experimenting on the platform back then as well. I'm kind of like fast launch you to success on your channel. But here's the thing, you guys still have to figure out a lot of things on your own. I know a lot of creators, they kind of look at their channel and they're looking at it over a graph over time. This is what a lot of them think, and I'm going to exaggerate it for the sake of the illustration. I know none of you actually think this, but they think, okay, first year, I'll get 10,000 subscribers. I can see that. But by the time I'm going on to like my second year, I should probably start seeing, you know, about 25,000% in growth. And maybe like it would be awesome if I was like 2.5 million subscribers by year 2, right? But like, hey, I can't grow all the time. So I understand that maybe like I'll take a dip once in a while, but it won't be that big. Maybe I'll just take like an 8% cut, maybe over to like 1 year. Maybe I'll just go down to 2.3 million, but that's very rare. Most of the time, my growth is going to be somewhere around, you know, a couple 100% a year. I'll be at like 10 million. And then by the time I've been doing this for 5 years, like, man, I'm going to be like PewDiePie 2.0 and I'm going to be at like 15 million. Like, guys, again, I'm exaggerating, right? I know none of you guys are actually thinking like these are numbers for your channel, but when we approach and think about our channel, especially if we're just starting out, like this is kind of what we expect to happen. And a lot of creators get very discouraged very quickly if this isn't the type of growth that they see happening right away. I know the content that you're creating is very close and dear to your heart. You have like an emotional attachment to it and you think it's just awesome. The key here isn't just like high production value videos. It's actually something much deeper, much bigger that we talk about in the book, The Secret to Building Your YouTube Audience. That probably talks about it a little bit more. That's the free one. But 30 Days to a Better YouTube Channel also definitely talks about it because YouTube is a very different platform than television. A lot of us will come to YouTube approaching it the same way of what we're used to on television, and it doesn't work because television is very not social. It's very much a one-way communication thing, where on YouTube, like this is a social platform. Like people expect to be social and interactive with you here on YouTube. So learning how to do that just doesn't happen overnight for most creators. Like you really have to like hone your skills on that. And again, we're gonna help you here in this course and other materials that I'm doing here at Video Creators to help you maybe take the fast lane to some of that stuff. But there's still like a lot of things you have to work out and figure out, especially when it comes to finding your voice and finding out how to talk to the people you're trying to reach. That takes time and there's really not too many shortcuts for that. Another mistake I see a lot of new creators making is that they're just trying to imitate someone else like that they really like on YouTube. So maybe they really like PewDiePie or Ray William Johnson or Shay Carl, you know, or something like that. And if you haven't heard of those people, it's not a big deal. The point is like they're just trying to be like someone else. And what happens if you try to be like someone else on YouTube, you just end up blending in and you don't stand out. And then you just your channel gets drowned out in the millions of other videos that are being uploaded all the time. And so it's really important for you guys to find your unique voice that makes you stand out. And again, other resources go more into that. But I just want to like let you guys know that your story is different from mine. And I can really help you shortcut, like take a lot of shortcuts and make this a lot quicker for you than otherwise would. And a lot of audience development principles that maybe you know from your blog will definitely translate over to YouTube and vice versa if you're trying to go the other way. So what we're gonna do in this next lesson is start talking about my Google Plus tactics and specifically how that influenced this channel, how it helped it grow, and hopefully you guys will get a lot of ideas out of it that you can take, add your unique voice, your unique spin, and make it work for the audiences that you're trying to reach with the message that you're sharing in a way that's totally different than the way I might have done it, but you'll still take the principle and you're like, that Tim is gold. Thank you for that right there. So do the quiz for this one, then once you pass 100%, move on to the next lesson.